Hi, this is Sheila with Stampin' Wishes, and I'm here today to do a video, which is our third project for my club members that are, of course, in a shelter-down situation. And so we came up with I would do videos and place their packets out on my porch, and they'll come pick it up. So this is the last of the three that they will be receiving, and I'm going to call it It's All About Poppies. And the reason it's all about poppies is we're going to be using this particular die set, which is absolutely a stunning die set that you do not want to miss getting your set. Really, you don't. This has so much to offer in it. Not only your stamps, but you'll see in a minute how you can use these pieces for making negatives and positives and making a puzzle out of it. You can use it by putting vellum behind your piece that cuts out, and then you can do a stained glass effect on it. I mean, it's just endless, and you have so many different pieces that come with it. So if you've not gotten this, be sure and place that on your want list. Okay, and that's in our mini catalog, so get it before they're no longer available. All right, this is a die cut that comes along not with it, but as a secondary piece to buy. And we're going to be using this piece today, and then of course your little die cuts for your leaves and stuff like that. So we want to be sure and get that set to go with it as well. All right, for our greeting and saying, I'm going to be using this one that has these are moments we'll look back on with joy. And then in the inside, I've got life is better with a friend like you. Just some, when you're thinking of somebody and just want to let them know you're thinking of them. These are nice times, and especially what we're going through right now, to be able to get cards in the mail to different people. It would really bring a lot of joy to them. So, all right, so let me show you real quickly the cards I kind of put together this morning, and which ones the one I'll actually be doing. Here's one using the stamp set, and what I used was coming around with Poppy Parade using this stamp, and then I just came over it in different places with the Poppy stamp, the larger one, and then I came back with these little I love these splotch dots. We used to have them on another stamp set. Can't think of the name of it right now, but I just hated it when it left. We're also using this stamp set today, but this one says, thinking of you, sweet friend, and sending healing hugs. And so there again, I used the painted, let me see if that's the one I used. No, I used the Stitch So Sweetly, and let me see if I have it. I don't have it handy right now, but I used the Stitch So Sweetly and did the two different sizes and stamped it, and then I stamped the leaves behind it. And of course we got to have our envelope that goes with it, and here's our envelope. And then I made this, and this is the one I was talking about, that you use the different pieces. So what I did was in the cutout pieces, I ran this through twice, one using blacks, one using red, and the same thing here, and then put some Wink of Stella on the inserts of it, and then glued all the inserts back down. You've also got a frame where you can actually cut this out and adhere it all onto a piece, so if you want to pop it up, you can do that. Okay, absolutely love this card and how it came out. And this is the inside of it using, again, the Poppy Parade set. All right. And I believe, yep, Peaceful Moments, we've continued using that throughout in some of our rhinestones. And then, of course, we have our leaf work out here on our envelope. So today, the one we're going to be making is this one. And this is the one that the club girls will get their paper cut for them, and then they'll have to cut out their other pieces like this. I am using for the circle, and here I'm using a scrap of white, and I'm using the 1 3/4 circle punch, and it fits perfectly within that stitched area there. Okay, and I did use dimensionals to pick this up a little bit, give it some dimension, and then inside it's just real simple but pretty. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Oh, and our envelope to match it. All right, so setting this aside, we're going to need to cut us 2 of our Whisper White, and they need to be 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to line this up here and cut this at 4, and then bring it around here. And I'm hoping this is all in the video. I'm going to push this up some because I'm not sure how far it goes. And then I'm going to bring this up to the 5 1/4 right here and cut this one. There's one of them. And then I'm going to come around here and go to our 5 1/4 and then cut that little piece off of it. All right, so I've got my 2 like that. Now for my card base, what I need is to, I'm going to score this to get, I can get 2 cards out of this. I'm going to move my cutter out of the way for right now. I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. Then I'm going to turn it around and cut it at 5 1/2. And what this does is prepare me 2 pieces of cardstock per card. And then all you have to do is bend each one of them, and there's your, so when you're doing a number of these cards, this is a good way to do it, is just score them first and then cut them afterwards. Okay, let's put this aside. And since we only need one, I'll just put this over here. Now next I'm going to kind of show you, we're going to be working with one of these here, and one of them is going to be the inside, so we'll set this aside for a second. And I've gone ahead and ahead of time cut my pieces out. Now I have these, you would want one of these and one of the small poppies, and then you need 2 of the leaves. Now for time's sake, the only part I'm going to color are the small flowers at the bottom, but I have gone ahead and colored using the combo of my Poppy Parade and made my flowers, so they're all ready to go, and the same thing with my leaf. Now some people don't like the edges of the white showing that you cut around, and if you don't, then just go ahead and use a dauber and either the darker or the lighter shade of the colors you're using, and just sponge around the edges, and that'll cover them up. I kind of like the contrast of the white when I'm working, especially on something like this, that I'll need that, you know, that little bit of a contrast going on so it doesn't blend in with the background. So let's go ahead first, and using a scrap white, I'm going to, let me get this one's, yeah, this one's thinner. I've got both scraps of my thick white cardstock and the other. So what we want to do is go ahead and stamp our greeting in there that says there are times, these are the moments we'll look back on with joy. And so I'm going to bring over, I always like to use my Stamparettas, that way if I don't come down hard enough or get everything in place, I can always come back and restamp it. So let's go ahead and move this on here. And we'll put that about right here so we have plenty of room to get around it with our punch. All right, then we'll bring our Memento Black Tuxedo ink. Stamp it up real good. And I always look to make sure my stamp looks wet. And as long as it looks wet and shiny, then you know you've covered all of the details of it. I think that looks great. I don't think we need to do anything else. Okay, I'm going to set this to the side, and let's stamp off that ink on here and then clean it off. You should always stamp your, just for the purpose of your cleaning, stamp your stamps off before you wipe them down. That way you keep whatever method of cleaning, whether it's your cleaning, excuse me, just when I'm talking, I get quiet here trying to line this up, but whether you're using the matte pads, you know, that we can clean with the spray cleaner, or whether you're using the new cleaning pad, which I like a lot, the stamping cleaning pad, whether you use that, you won't dirty up so quickly. Okay, so now we've got that all ready, and it can go right here in the center. As you can see, it fits perfectly. So let's go ahead and stamp the inside of our card. Since we've got this out here, we'll go ahead and see if this will line up where we want it to be. Looks good. And while we've got it there, we might as well bring in the little poppy and put it and stamp everything at one time. I think that looks good. Okay, let's go ahead and stamp this up. Beautiful. Okay, so let's set this aside. Now we're going to be stamping the front of them, and we won't need to stamp with the stamparatus for it because we're going to be using our longer stamp piece and just stamp randomly on it. Okay, let's go ahead and clean these off and set them to the side. Shouldn't need that anymore, so let's go ahead and bring this down. Now what I like to do is kind of line my cardstock up just so that I know I'm in line with it, and also when I go to stamp this, because I don't want to have this ridge that we've got here showing, I want them to look like they've come off the card, then I use this as my kind of guide to keeping it straight, number one, as I go down it. So let's go ahead and get our little poppies stamped, and as you can see, hopefully my head's not there, but as you can see, I'm lining it up where I can see the edges down at the end. Now make sure you hold and press for your 10 seconds to give that ink time to transfer. And you want to be sure that, because these are little spots and stuff, sometimes the ink takes a little bit longer to dry in those areas, that you do all your stamping first and start coloring on another piece before you start handling these little flowers. That's what I found with working with these, and I think we'll bring this in about right here. And I brought it up just a little bit higher on this end so that the flowers hopefully didn't run into each other, which they did not. See? Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so we're going to set that aside for right now until we're ready to start assembling. Stamp our stamp off and clean it off and set it to the side. All right, so then the next thing we want to do is let's go ahead and color up the inside of this, and then we can put it to the inside of the card. Go ahead and adhere, and that way it'll be done. Now I use these little pins. They're great for drawing and stuff like that, but for making the little, I don't know if you noticed that, I made kind of just a little ink design down there. I thought it added to it. So I'll take one of my smallest one, which is the 0.05, and I will make kind of just a little coming from the edge and coming on down this way, and it just kind of gives that inked look effect like it was part of the block. Okay, and now we'll bring out our 2 shades of our Poppy Parade and our Granny Apple Green. That's all you need for this card are these 2 shades, and I do use both of them. So let's go ahead and do my leaves real quick. I'm going to go ahead and just come up the edge, and while I'm coloring this part, I am going to go ahead and speed it up. Alright, so we're ready to go ahead and put this inside the card, and I chose on these because there's not a lot of area or room to shade that much, but you can spend some time with it if you'd like. I went ahead and used all of dark Poppy Parade for it. So let's go ahead and put some adhesive on the back here. And I just got in my set, which is the Ornate Garden set that goes on sale April the 1st, and hoping to work with it this weekend and have you a video on it. It is absolutely gorgeous, so be sure and stay tuned and come back and take a look at that as well. Okay, so these have set off long enough. I'm going to speed up again and color these. And what I'm going to do with these is part of them I'm going to do in the dark red and part of them in the light, just to kind of give shading of alterations of the card, okay? So let's speed this up. All right, so we've got that colored now, and it's okay on this kind because it's kind of a water, it reminds me of watercoloring when you're doing a lot of this. So if you go outside the lines, I don't think there's any problems with that at all. All right, so I'm going to bring in, I'd like to have this stand up a little bit, so I'm going to bring in my little small black dimensionals. I love having these black dimensionals available when I'm working with darker cardstock. I think they were so smart by doing this and making them available for us, because there's none other dimensional type that I prefer as much as I do the Stampin' Up, because of the right height, you can get the two different sizes, and everything is just perfect with them. All right, so here we go. We're going to put this over there. And then we're going to be placing this over in this category of our flowers. So a little bit of the flowers show there. So let's use our larger dimensions on those. And it doesn't hurt to use more than you think you need on here, just to make sure that your card stays intact and gives it balance, because sometimes if you just say put one in there on a circle this size in the center, then you'll end up having it be not as sturdy around the edge if somebody were to touch it. And this way, if somebody touches it, it's not a problem because it's sturdy all the way around. All right, so next we have our little flowers here, and I kind of like to put these together first and then put dimensionals behind them and slide them into whichever direction you decide you're going to put them in. So I want to put this poppy on top of this poppy, and I will do that by using just adhesive. Okay. And let's put it about there. And then we want to be able to put our leaves in there, and again I'm going to put them by doing the back of this. And let's see if I've got enough here to do that in, but let's see, we'll put one probably, let's see, if we set this here, we can put one. I don't want to go above the card element, so let's make sure. Okay, and then we can put the other one kind of coming out like that. I think that's pretty. Let's see, we'll have this because we don't want to cover that, so we can come up a little bit under like so, and then we still have a little bit of room that we can come up off the edge here because you're going to have the back base of the card. So now I want to go ahead and place my dimensionals in the areas that are going to be up and balanced with the greeting. So let's go ahead and place these on. I have to tell you a funny story about my little fur baby. She's, her name is Bitsy, and she's a mixture of a terrier and a chihuahua. And just is a love bug. I have spoilt her so bad that she really truly thinks she's a child and a baby. Well, we had Every time she comes in my craft room with me, which she was earlier, if I get out of my chair, she is right there. So she came over to my chair and was all excited, like she needed me to see something. And sometimes that's because she's eaten her food and I give them a treat after they've eaten their breakfast to encourage them to eat. Sometimes they just don't. And so anyway, she comes over like she's so excited, and then all of a sudden I go out to see what's going on and see if they ate, and there's no Bitsy, and I turn around and she had gotten me out of the chair just so she could get in. Isn't that something? Yes, it is. All right, so now you can see how simple of a card this was. We have completed it. It didn't take long. There wasn't a lot of coloring. You have your dies to be able to cut it. So let's bring in the other one here. And now let's go ahead and bring in the other that I did that was using the poppies that we didn't use today. And we'll put them all here. All right, so I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope that you'll try and use your poppy sets and try these different techniques with them, a stained glass effect. And until my next video, God bless and happy stamping.